Greetings from Tema, Ghana.
Greetings from Iowa City, Iowa, in the United States.
Greetings from Aswan, Egypt.
Greetings from Canada.
Greetings from Conifer in the United States.
Greetings from Ghanim, Morocco.
Greetings from Cosenza, Italy. I'm Ajwa.
I'm Luca, and welcome to Team Harmony's Hey, what are you going to do?
Hello everybody, and welcome to our 5th broadcast of Team Harmony's Hate, What Are You Going to Do? My name is Julia.
And I'm Angel. Over the past few episodes, we've had show themes. We've looked at the treatment of the LGBTQ community worldwide, civil rights and equality, the arts, and today we're going to look at the status of women.
I'm Ellie. When we put the word out on this topic, we didn't realize the intensity of the stories we'd receive. So this show is going to feel different.
And because of that, we decided to split this episode into 2 parts. For this part, we'll look at stories from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Ghana.
We'll also speak to an expert on women's rights working for policy and social change around the world.
But to start our show today, we've got a story that's difficult to watch. We feel as though we should say viewer discretion is advised. So let's head over to Ahmad in Afghanistan.
Hello everyone, I'm Ahmed Nassar, the founder of Ahmed Nassar's Literacy Center and a youth reporter from Afghanistan. The main reason behind making this video is to showcase the agony and misery that women undergo, as 1 in 3 women experience some sort of physical, sexual, or verbal violence, and sometimes the cases can be severe. In this video, see how women are treated in Afghanistan.
Violence against women is one of the most serious human rights issues in Afghanistan. Each year, a significant number of sexual, physical, and domestic violence cases are reported, which encompasses beating women to death or severely cutting their noses or ears. Sabira, a 30-year-old woman, says she left her husband because she beat her every day, and even attempted to cut her fingers using the fact that she's a woman.
Remember, my father-in-law and brother-in-law were holding my hands, and my husband hit the pressure cooker at my back.
In 2015, a woman called Farhunda was brutally burned by males for being accused of have burned the Quran Sharif. As you can see in the video, she's pushed down and kicked repeatedly. She was beaten so badly that her face was stained with blood. In this disturbing footage, she's pulled up to the roof and then struck down. They beat her. The slaughter continues. They run her over with this car. Then they throw Farhunda in the riverbed where she is stoned with large slabs of rock. Later, she is set on fire and burned to death. On the other hand, those who survive in Afghanistan prefer to die rather than living. Sitara, a mother of 3 children, was asked to give her jewelry to her husband, but when she refused to do so, he cut off her lips and nose. She's saying, "He hit me with a stone and then with the handle of a knife." Such deadly and fatal incidents have also led to multiple protests led by women for having a more just and gender-equal world. Sabira expresses how underestimated she feels as she was deprived of her rights to work, study, or exercise control over her freedom.
When the situation was, I decided to tell my husband, but then my husband beat me with iron stick and accused me of doing all this by my own will. Then my in-laws started abusing my daughter and son as well. I couldn't bear this, so I fled the house and city.
Likewise, many of the other women drop out of university or schools once they get married, but after leaving her husband, Sabira expresses gratitude for getting the education she needs now.
Currently, I work as a social organizer for a local civil society organization, and I'm attending a literacy center to get educated. I feel potent enough to defend my rights and live the life I want independent.
In a country where ongoing war and political unrest has never taken a break, the austerity is doubly imperative for women. Follow Team Harmony Foundation for more eye-opening stories on how hate is challenging people around the world.
Ahmad, thank you very, very much for that. As intense as it was, we just wanted to say that you did a great job putting that piece together.
Now let's go to Pakistan, where Sandeed teaches us that food distribution is a form of gender inequality, and that leads to major medical issues for women that they are then blamed for.
Why only the men need better nutrition? Why are the women our second priority? When will we consider those women who give birth to the generations we are proud of? This is Sandeep Sheikh from Team Harmony reporting from Lahore, Pakistan, a place with many untold stories. When talking about C and D classes, more than 50% of women and girls in Pakistan are anemic and have difficulties during pregnancy. Over 40% of children are underweight, where a big reason is the unequal food distribution between men and women, especially in mothers. Food distribution is based on gender, which ultimately leads to men having better nutritional intake.
Women are never considered as first priority in our society. I got married to a family where importance is given to the male gender over females. I have to wait for the male members of family to eat first. There was no concept of house helper in the family, so I had to take responsibility of all tasks. I was considered responsible for all household activities. I was the one who has to do everything, whether it be cooking, taking care of the house, everything. It became the basic reason behind I got malnutrition and I could not conceive. When I asked to so many different doctors, consulted them, they told me the same reason, being underweight, malnutrition, for not conceiving the baby, and could not carry a baby for such a long time. And this was the main cause of conflict between me and my husband, and we finally got divorced.
The story clearly highlights that how maternal undernutrition results in difficulties. This is just a single story. Consider the thousands of undernutrition women out there that are collectively a reason of 40% underweight children, where half of them are affected by stunting and nearly 9% of them wasted.
Usually girls get to listen this that your brother needs more nutrition as he has to go out for work. You don't need that much of nutrition. How is it possible that God has created structure of both male and female the same, but one needs more nutrition than the other? We are running awareness campaigns in Punjab for this. In fact, there is a need to launch these campaigns throughout Pakistan. For God's sake, it is my request to you all, being a mother, don't discriminate male and female.
There's a dire need to look up to our policies in order to improve the nutritional status of women. The government of Pakistan and World Food Programme in 2018 launched an initiative allocating budget of 10 billion to improve the nutritional situation going on in the country. The worst form of gender inequality is that food distribution is now based on gender, which ultimately leads to men having better nutritional intake, rather than those women who are responsible for making up generations. Correcting the gender inequality and cutting the deep roots of patriarchy in our society is now a much bigger challenge. Let us play our part in this regard and end the discrimination and save our generation.
Thank you, Sandeed, for shining a light on a topic that most people are not aware of. Working on the show, we knew we'd need an expert to guide us through this maze, so we reached out to Dr. Lina Abirafe, the Executive Director of the Arab Institute for Women at the Lebanese American University based in New York and Lebanon.
I don't think that we have any time to waste, because we are in a world that allows a girl to be married and then to be raped every 2 seconds. So we've got a lot to do with 2030 and our agenda. We've got to eliminate legal discrimination. We've got to change all these unfair social norms. We have to bring women into politics and the economy and leadership and decision-making in every aspect of life.
So now, Lina, tell me, what got you started in this career? What was your trigger moment?
Well, I think I was born into it. I come from a mixed background. I'm Lebanese and Palestinian. I was raised in Saudi Arabia and then in the US in Washington, D.C. When I was 14 years old, I took a class in high school called Comparative Women's History. And it wasn't about women's history as much as it was about violence against women that has been perpetrated throughout history. And that just blew my mind. It set off a bomb in my heart. And I've never been able to forget about it. And hearing about female genital mutilation, about women burning themselves on their husbands' funeral pyres, about the pervasive and very hidden nature of intimate partner violence, rape as a weapon of war, women breaking their ribs to fit into corsets so they can conform to beauty standards of whatever age. I was devastated as a kid, and I'm still devastated today. So that was my moment.
So most people get mad about things and do nothing. You did something and took your anger to harness it and drive your career forward. What can young people learn from that?
It wasn't anything deliberate on my part. It was just this feeling of rage at the injustice. And I said, I don't know, I'm 14. I don't know what to do. I don't care what I do. I will do anything. I have to do something, because for me, doing nothing was the greater crime.
Why do you think that statistics do not alarm people to want to improve the treatment of women worldwide?
You know, statistics can be very compelling in some ways. Like when I talk about violence against women, I tell people 1 in 3 women and girls worldwide will experience some form of violence in their lifetime. And people shrug and they say, well, you know, we don't get it. And I say, wait, listen. Pick 3 women in your life, 3 women that you know, that you love, that you care about, that you want to protect. It doesn't matter who they are. And that when they pick those 3 women, I say, well, all right, now pick 1 of those 3. And then I go on to explain that that's the one who is likely to experience some form of violence in her lifetime. When people hear personal stories and anecdotes, it brings life to the numbers. And when you listen, and when you turn to women and girls and you say, have you ever been uncomfortable with somebody, or touched in a way that you didn't want, or were you ever the recipient of a comment that crossed the line for you? Just about every single one of us will say yes. How many is that?
I think it's so right to turn it personal, because then if you say to a man, well, it's not about the women, it is about the women in your life, your mother, your sister, your aunt, your daughter, anybody, that's when it can make people believe it more and actually want to do something.
You know, we have a responsibility to care for each other and respect each other as humans. Like, it doesn't have to be the human that's related to you. Do you know what I mean? So very often with men, they'll say something like, oh, I didn't realize how difficult things are for women until I had a daughter. Do you want someone touching your butt on the subway? No. There you go.
Or honking at you on the street even. It's just unnecessary.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, it's logical. Anybody who says, well, I'm afraid to get into the elevator with you because who knows what'll happen. Well, I know what'll happen. Nothing. Because you're a decent human being and you respect me and my space, and we treat each other with dignity and bodily autonomy and integrity. The end.
So what are some first steps young people can take in their own communities?
I think the first thing is to open your eyes, to pay attention, to really understand the experience of the other. What's interesting is a lot of times people say they don't care because they actually don't know. But when they learn, when they understand, when they start to open their eyes, you know, you never close them again. You can do lots of different things. You can volunteer, you can campaign, you can just be an informed and decent human. I think that's already a great thing to be in this world, especially now. And I think that kind of behavior is contagious. And if people see you as a decent person, they're probably more likely to exhibit some decency themselves. And that's a message that can spread.
Now, Lena, do you have to be Superwoman to make a change?
So I think we've got to be realistic about what change is. And when we are realistic about what we mean by change, then we also recognize that you don't have to be a superhero to do something. Change yourself. You know, you don't need to be a superwoman to do that.
Do you have any advice for young women trying to make it in a male-dominated field?
Courage and conviction. You know, it is never going to be easy. There are always going to be things thrown in your way. But I think, you know, an open mind, an open heart, and a real sense of your boundaries, right? And what is right and wrong. As a young person navigating the working world or wherever you might be, to not think that you have to go at it alone. There are people, whether of your peer group or older, who will reach out, who will help, who will open doors, who will be a support or an ally or a mentor or a champion.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
I think this is such an extraordinary project. You know, I was watching some of the videos and really compelled by how people are using their voice to amplify the voice of others. And I love the effort and the passion that goes into it. And I think fusing passion and purpose into these kinds of messages is really the best way to reach people. So hats off to you all.
Thank you. Well, it's been an honor talking to a fellow Lebanese woman. Thank you so much for joining us today and for all of your insight.
Honor-killing crimes are still very common in South Asian, Middle Eastern, and North African communities. Ajwa of Pakistan introduces us to a young woman who escaped her family in order to save her own life.
Hey, this is Ajwa, and today I'm going to highlight the most crucial topic, that is honor killing. Honor killing means killing of a person by their own family just because they believed he or she disgraced the honor of family.
Freedom of expression is the basic right of every human being, and love is natural. But in states like underdeveloped countries, due to lack of literacy rate, such practices are common, and immediate measures should be adopted to stop honor killing. Sarah is not her real name, is strictly bound to stay home, and has been deprived from her basic rights. She cannot even go to school or college just because her family thinks that she disgraced to their family honor.
Co-education is strictly prohibited in my family, especially for a girl. Only my mother and brother supported me studying in a co-education system. Once I was on an internship, my male friends decided to dine out. Few of my relatives saw me there and they created a scene at my house by humiliating my parents. They claimed that my parents has spoiled me and I would become a stain to everyone's dignity one day. I was kept locked in my own room where I was brutally beaten every day. I was not allowed to go to university to talk to anyone, and they used to scare me with the threats like either I would be married or murdered. Under these circumstances, my mother supported me and helped me to escape the house. I got admitted in a hostel that was too far from my own house. I completed my education there, and now if I ever go back to my own house, I would get killed.
Honor killing crimes are very common in South Asian, Middle Eastern, and North African communities, whereas women's behavior is the key to preserving a family's honor. Last year, there were more than 1,000 incidents in Pakistan. These include beating, abduction, and even murders. Now, we will get an expert advice from Salman Abid, who is analyst, social worker, and executive director at IDEA.
In order to address honor killings, we will have to review our laws. We will have to remove any demerits in it and bring in new amendments. The primary purpose of law is to protect women, men, and the overall society. Whenever there is a need to make amendment, we should do it. Even if there is a need for new law, we should produce it. In addition to that, we need to raise awareness that we as a society have to respect and protect women.
The government definitely need to take some preventive measures in order to preserve women's rights. We should also play a part to end this discrimination and let all the women in the world to enjoy their rights that have been provided to them by the Supreme Authority and the state as well, so that peace can be assured. Signing off, Ajwa.
Thank you, Ajwa. Nice job. We would like to finish this show on a lighter note. As the world celebrated women this past March, Joseph looked at the works of one outstanding young woman, claiming her space in the world of action sports photography in Ghana.
As the world celebrates women this past month, I have been looking at the works of one outstanding young woman who is claiming her space in Ghana's landscape of photography. Have you ever been caught up in a situation where you were just doing what you loved, but immediately realized that you were entering uncharted waters? That is exactly the story of sports photographer Mary Eshun. Mary has been a devout lover of photography ever since she got a camera from her uncle in her primary school days. It is this compulsion and her interest in sports that has landed her in an overwhelmingly male-dominated career.
Lots of things inspired me to do sports photography. I love football. Football is one of the sports I follow a lot and taking pictures. What actually inspired me to do sports photography is when I started my internship at CMG, I had to produce the evening show, and getting local materials to produce the evening show was sometimes difficult. So I started going to match day games, taking some short videos and pictures to produce my show. So that's how I got into the photography aspect.
The sports storyteller is among the A-list of women in photojournalism in Ghana. Her decision to make sports arenas her second office has propelled her to working in some of the continent's top competitions, such as the AFCON qualifiers, the Tokyo 2020 Africa Zone 2 swimming qualifiers, as well as the Ghana Premier League and the Ghana Women's Premier League. But all these have had to come with its own challenges.
There are a lot of challenges in this field. Sometimes clubs don't want to work with you because you are a female. You can't travel with a team, lounge with them at the same hotel, and sometimes people also feel like you're a woman and you can't do the job well. Wages in this field, I would say it's not fair. It's not really fair in this job we do, because there are clubs who don't invest in pictures. You have to depend on someone offering you a contract to work with.
Although she is young, Mary has already worked with some of the top African national football teams, including the Sudanese national team. She sees a bright future despite the periodic bullying and framing she gets just because she is a woman.
What I will tell girls or women in a male-dominated place or field is there will always be questions, the doubts, and if you can really do the job. So I let my job do the talking. Because as a female, you always have to put in that extra effort than what others are doing. You have to stand out and be the best at what you do.
Being the woman in the man's world, Mary continues to use her lens to tell the positive stories about other women in sport. Reporting for Team Harmony, my name is Joseph Amwakwata from Accra, Ghana.
It's always a pleasure to hear from you, Joseph. Awesome, inspiring story.
This brings us to the conclusion of part 1 of the status of women around the world, and we hope you were just as moved as we were.
Well, that's it for our show, but if you stick around, you'll be able to chat with our guests from today's broadcast and our live post-show discussion.
Please remember to check out our website at teamharmonyfoundation.org for part 2 of this topic coming soon. So until next time, peace.